I have visited several Legoland parks across the world, and my new favorite one is Legoland Billund. The chain's original park offers the deepest and most diverse ride lineup in my opinion. The Legoland parks understandably usually cater to kids and families. While this park most certainly still does, it also features a few thrill rides to offer something to entertain older kids and adults as well. So in this video, I will rank this Danish park's top 15 rides and attractions. And thankfully, compared to the other Danish countdowns I've done and will be doing, these names are much easier to pronounce. Number 15, X-treme Racers. This mock wild mouse is one of the rarer large park models that starts off with a zippy first drop into a tunnel with light effects. This is the highlight of the ride for me. The elevated hairpin turns offer mild laterals, but the ride does run noticeably slower than other mice, presumably due to the family demographic. This is especially apparent in the heavily braked second half that has no airtime nor laterals, but the ride is smooth and a hit with kids. Number 14, Miniland. This walkthrough area is the heart and soul of the Legoland parks. This land has some of the most elaborate and detailed Lego models on Earth. You have full cities with moving vehicles, you have skyscrapers, and you even have a space shuttle that launches. You could easily spend an hour here looking at all the scenes in detail. Number 13, Ghost Haunted House. This attraction is split up into two parts. It starts with an elaborately well-themed queue line that made the experience for me. You pass through a creepy mansion past some Lego ghouls and ghosts, but still kid-friendly. And it ultimately leads into a fun mirror maze. I didn't know that part was coming. Then you reach the main ride, which is a 3-story tall drop tower. The drops are quite tame, about on par with most junior drop towers, but the cycle was surprisingly short since you only had one bounce drop and one full drop. Number 12, Dragen. This Legoland staple uses a much different ride system. Rather than being a traditional roller coaster with a lift hill, Billund's Dragen is a powered coaster that can interestingly run 2 trains. The ride starts off in a similar fashion as you slowly pass some medieval scenes and also a large dragon animatronic. Then you have a pseudo launch as you accelerate past the station and head outdoors for some helixes. This section is very tame, but is well landscaped. But the dark ride section really is what makes the experience for me. Number 11, Fire Brigade. This Legoland hit has teams race to extinguish a fire. Guests manually power their own truck with a crank. Then you work as a team to pump water and aim it at the fire. Then you race back to the finish line. This ride is absolutely amazing if you ride it with friends and compete against each other. Number 10, Temple. This shooting dark ride is one of the shortest ones out there, but it is fun while it lasts. You have these nice looking Lego sets and there are plenty of targets with different point values to take fire at. They all work, but the laser sight was a little different on this one. It would disappear whenever you fired, so you had to pause in between shots if you want to reestablish your position. Number 9, Piratbade. This slow-moving boat ride is basically Lego's take on Pirates of the Caribbean. You pass a series of figures and animatronics outdoors before heading into a cave with some larger and more elaborate sets. This is a really cool dark ride that should not be missed. Number 8, Flying Eagle. If you've ridden Maurice Pierre's Runaway Tram, this is a clone. You have the same smooth ride with a pinch of airtime and some mildly forceful turns. And like the one in Wildwood, you also get 2 laps. But this Zier coaster is plussed by some nice theming as you zip past rockwork and also some waterfalls along the route. Number 7, Lego Canoe. This small flume ride isn't about the thrills. The final plunge is both small and shallow. However, the ride has great visuals as you pass through caves and travel past a variety of Lego scenes. Not many flumes have as much theming and things to look at as this one. Number 6, Emmet's Flying Adventure. I really like flying theaters. Usually, they offer a scenic tour of famous landmarks. This one is different. Much different. It's a frenetic journey that really feels like an acid trip. The ride is sensory overload. The screen is very busy with all the background characters and details, sort of like the Star Wars prequels. But the motion is well synchronized and the ride is fun, just hectic. I was really caught off guard how much different it was than the usual flying theater, but I did ultimately like it. Number 5, Vikings River Splash. This Intamin River Rapids ride, like many of the rapids rides in Denmark, is very weak on the rapids. This one does redeem itself in two ways. One, you have some Lego statues to admire along the course. Two, there are 3 drops. The first 2 are these abrupt little dips that build up good speed. Then the final one is a larger drop accessed by an elevator lift. This plunge is shallow, but it has a little speed to it, and whoever goes down backwards will get very wet. Number 4, Polar Explorer. This Zier creation is the best coaster at a Legoland park. I think this coaster has some oomph to it. The first drop has some laterals, the speed hills have a pinch of airtime, and the helixes offer some decent positive Gs. Now the layout is really short, but is plussed by some theming. Most of the ride takes place in and around the snowy mountain. Then you pass some Lego statues and even a penguin exhibit on the final brake run. There's also one other trick I don't want to spoil here, but I do talk about it in an individual review for this coaster. Number 3, Apocalypseburg Sky Battle. This technical park flat ride can be as wild or as tame as you like. Much like the Gerstlauer Skyflies, riders are given paddles and can use these while also shifting their weight to fully invert. I find this one is easier to invert than the Gerstlauer versions, and the flips are more varied as you get hang time over the top and more rapid flips at the base. The one thing I want to note is that the handles for the paddles seem to be a bit closer to the restraints. This makes sense for kids, but was a little uncomfortable for an adult to hold the flip compared to the other installations out there. Number 2, Ninjago the Ride. This interactive shooting dark ride is both a joy and a workout. You use hand gestures to fire projectiles at screen-based targets, and your arms will be in agony at the end of the ride. This system ultimately works really well as long as you remember not to change your elevation too much, and there's plenty of cartoony figures to hit. I know Web Slingers has gotten a lot of attention at the Disney parks lately, but I honestly think this ride is better. It's much easier to follow the action and know where you're shooting. And coming in at number 1 is Ice Pilot School. This quintet of Kuka robot arms can either offer a mild experience or the wildest ride in the park. I of course picked the latter. Riders go to a kiosk and can select level 1 through 5, with 5 being the most extreme by far. You can then pick 3 to 4 maneuvers for your arm to complete. And if you picked level 5, you get 1 minute of uncontrolled mayhem. I'm pretty sure I spent more time inverted than right side up. I got tons of hang time and lost all sense of direction from the arm wildly flinging me forwards and backwards. The dark lighting and strobe lights just add to the disorientation in my opinion. This ride had been closed for a few years and it unfortunately is a miserable throughput, but it is my favorite ride in the park and I talk about it more in a separate review. So those are the top 15 rides and attractions at Legoland Billund. As I mentioned at the start, I really appreciate how this park had some extreme flats to be paired with the family-friendly roller coasters and familiar dark rides. It really gave the park variety you don't get at the other Legoland parks. What are your favorite rides at this Danish park? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.